Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Zodiac Bandit, and today we're going to be recapping episode 44 of Critical Role Campaign 3, which is really exciting. And this is the first recap and first Critical Role episode of 2023, which is also really cool and really exciting. Big downside to the episode, no Ashton, no Talzin, which really sucks. It sounds like we're getting him back next week, so hopefully he's feeling better than last. So, yeah, with that out of the way, let's get into the recap. We start in Ebn Kai's basement in his home. The bells Hells heard someone upstairs looking around for someone or something. They start coming up with a few ideas as to what to do with these individuals upstairs. One plan is to fight them. One is to have Chetney go werewolf and run out by himself. And the last one is to have an orgy and hope that the enemies want to join in. I think that sets the tone for this episode. Imogen casts Detect Thoughts and feels two individuals above, one in the kitchen and the other one is moving super fast upstairs. Laudna goes up the stairs without making any sound and puts the immovable rod in the handle of the door so it can't be opened. Then Laudna transforms Pate into a spider and sends him underneath the crack in the door and looks into the kitchen. Imogen tries to guide Laudna back down the stairs, but makes a bit too much noise. Aura moves to the bottom of the stairs to take a guard position. Back in Pate's vision, Laudna sees a half-elven man in a red robe, looking around, poking his sword into shit, and around. The other creature comes down the stairs. It is an air elemental. The elemental heard something and begins to move around the kitchen, and ends up picking up Pate, making Laudna throw up. The party need to pick what plan they're going to use as the air elemental has found the hidden door to the basement. They go with Run, and Chetney turns into a werewolf and begins to run past Orm up the stairs. The air elemental goes underneath the door just like Pate did and is now in the basement stairwell. This is where they start changing plans as Fern and Laudna start taking their clothes off even though they said they were going to run a minute ago, and FCG is providing light for them. Orm moves in front of Chetney and tells the elemental that this party is invite only and holds his attack. Imogen then goes and tries to help with the plan and says that they're just getting started down here and that she starts taking her vest off. It's like a really bad fan fiction. Laudna pulls out the scry ball and hands it to FCG to be a camera and says they have to hurry, they're late for their session, and hopes that this keeps the plan going as well. They're rolling pretty shit. Some of them are doing okay, some of them are doing alright with their rolls for deception. Chetney then yells, "I'm here to fix your pool," and holds his attack for the air elemental to move or attack him. A voice from behind the locked door asks what's going on and that they can hear the voices. The air elemental then flies into the larger room in the basement and stands there confused, trying to assert dominance. Fern, fully nude, casts Produce Flames and starts dancing around and holds an attack if the air elemental attacks. FCG then says that they are rolling and starts scooting back and forth and pretends that they are filming with the scry ball. The door up top is hit with a large impact and a weapon goes through it. The party continued to commit to this bit for the next round, and the air elemental is still confused, just like me. I thought they were running, and the door is eventually broken in half. Imogen casts Mage Armor and moves to the stairs, but the air elemental tries to stop her, and FCG starts to yell, "No touching, no touching, no touching." The half-elf man pokes his head in and is met by Orm, who says this is a private party and blocks the door. The half-elf tells him he wants to question them and so that they should get up to the wall. The half-elf asks why they're here, and Orm says, "Walk or fight." The half-elf says, "I guess it's a fight then," and Orm uses his grasping vine to pull the elf closer. Orm slashes the half-elf and deals a good bit of damage to him and knocking him prone. Orm then moves back down to Chetney, and two more people start coming through the door. A woman wearing the same outfit as the half-elf jumps down and attacks both Orm and Chetney. She looks very roguish. The other steps in and brings out a crossbow and shoots 3 times. Once at Chetney, once at Orm, and once at Imogen. And the only one that gets hit is Chetney. Imogen screams and says they're sorry. They thought that this place was abandoned, trying to continue their goddamn sex orgy plan. Like I said, it's a very bad fanfic. The half-elf stands up and believes that they might not know anything about what they're doing and they might only just be fucking in here, but then sees Imogen's hands and scars and yells to take them all out. It seems the fight is now truly underway. Imogen misty steps out of the basement past everyone and runs through the kitchen. Laudna, seeing her, as she puts it, film partner, run, she also takes her form of dread and casts spider climb and climbs out of the basement into the kitchen as well, using up a bunch of the reactions to the enemies. And it is now decided that a new plan is going to happen. Scatter. So back to the original run plan, it seems. Chetney runs up to the stairs and grabs a crossbow guy and pulls him down. And then steps into the kitchen as well. The elemental goes up the stairs after Imogen. Both Chetney and Orym hit their opportunity attacks as it flies by. It attacks Imogen but misses because of Orym and his goading attack. The half-elf runs down the stairs and casts Cone of Cold, hitting Orym, Fern, FCG. Orym takes half damage, FCG and Fern take full damage. Fern transforms into a Clydesdale horse, as she puts it, and begins to run up the stairs and realizes she can't fucking fit through the tiny-ass door. Where was she going with this? I love it. I think it's great, but where was she going with it? FCG casts command on the three bad guys in front of them to literally command, whatever that means. The only one that fails is the half-elf. The half-elf starts to yell at the others to go forth and do what he told them to do. FCG then moves to the stairs. Orym slashes the fuck out of the rogue woman, and then leaps off her to get up to the top of the stairs, and then baits and switches with FCG, so FCG is now at the top of the stairs. The half-elf commands his people to do shit still, and the rogue jumps over Orym and FCG to go into the kitchen, and both Orym and FCG miss their opportunity attacks on them. The rogue runs past Fern on the stairs and looks at Chetney in the kitchen and finds a weak point and hits Chetney hard. But with Laudna there, she's able to cast Silvery Barbs, and the attack is no longer a critical hit. Thank God, because she has sneak attack. That would have fucked up Chetney real bad. Actually, it wouldn't have. He's got half resistance to shit, apparently. The ranger attacks FCG and hits once and then pushes past FCG only to be met by a horse at the top of the stairs. Imogen casts Psychic Lance, twin spelled, on the elemental and the rogue fucking the rogue up. Laudna grabs the immovable rod to allow the door to be opened easier and casts Bane on all the enemies around them. So all four. Chetney takes out Turmoil and activates it and then sets it on fire and uses it to mess up the fucking rogue even more. Like, this thing's sick. And the image of a werewolf holding a flaming scythe, to me, is never not going to look cool. It's badass as fuck. The elemental then smacks Imogen again, and the half-elf does nothing due to the command spell yet again, and tries to run past FCG, but FCG doesn't allow this to happen. Instead, the half-elf Misty steps into the kitchen, and that ends the half-elf's turn. Fern kicks the ranger down the stairs, using her big horse legs, back down to FCG, and then bursts through the door, entering the kitchen, making even more of a mess up there. Laudna lays down and lets Fern run by, but Chetney doesn't and headbutts her, and they both start stumbling around. Fern then tramples the half-elf, who is prone due to Fern running through the door, knocking some people over. Back downstairs, FCG casts Banishment on the ranger, sending them somewhere for a minute. FCG gives Laudna a Trusted Companion blessing, but says they are feeling jittery. Orym knows the gods are watching them and uses his vine to whip himself upstairs, slides underneath Fern and behind the rogue, and trips the rogue, and then smashes her face to knock her out, which was actually really badass. Orym then goes behind the half-elf to give Chetney advantage next. The half-elf gets up, pops his shoulder back in, and then casts Lightning, hitting Chetney, Fern, FCG, and Laudna. Fern loses her horse form. The half-elf tries to jump out the window, but his leg is slashed by Chetney, so the exit is not so good, and he hurts himself on the way out, and he's now prone outside. Imogen casts inflict wounds on the air elemental, dealing a ton of damage to it. Then Laudna tells Pate to get back inside the elemental, and then she casts Shocking Grasp through touch through Pate. Chetney then goes out the window, hits the half-elf who is prone, knocking him out, and then tosses the body back inside. He climbs in after. The elemental, who is now wild and crazed as the half-elf is now out cold, attacks Imogen, and it looks to have knocked her out at first, but due to Laudna casting silvery barbs, the elemental misses and Imogen dodges the attack, and then the elemental flees. The party choose to leave the house as guards will probably be coming as soon as they made a lot of noise. They pick up the half-elf, and Fern turns into a horse again, and they put him on top of her after they realize Ashen is the one who has the black hole now. They leave the Dominion Ring and go to the Endeavor Ring and ask around for the docks, as they're looking for a warehouse, and they are new in town, so they don't know where they're going. They get directions and find a storage unit with 2 orcs moving boxes onto a cart, being pulled by some sort of cat creature. Leaving once they're done, putting all their boxes onto the crate, and then they lock the unit. Chetney sneaks up and picks the lock no problem. Once they open the unit door, the half-elf tries to run, but Orm and Imogen stop him with a combination of catching up to him and casting command and stop on them. They go inside and start asking questions. The half-elf says that he's been watching the house for a while, and it's been quiet for a while until the party showed up. He assumed that they are with the Grim Verity and won't start answering questions. The party act like they don't know anything about what's going on, and Laudna casts Bane on him, and FCG casts Fast Friends on him. With Fast Friends, he tells them he is a member of the Ruby Vanguard, and his work is very dangerous. They want a better future for Exandria. They aren't with Vasselheim or the monk-esque large boys, the Judicators. And they share interests with the Verity, but they're not going to get along, which just means to me that they're both looking into Ruidus, which is exactly what it is. FCG says, or asks him about Ruidus. He says he's not the godly type and says that they plan to free the people of the gods' influence as they have lost the right to be gods. He says he's been working under him for a while now and explains that there's a cycle of life, predator and prey. The gods are at the top of this cycle of life, but where did they come from? They created the world and came here from somewhere else. They aren't the only ones. They have a predator. Fern asks who him is, and the half-elf says he's the leader, and in a bit more than a week, everyone will be free. FCG asks how they can meet him, but the half-elf says it's too close to the end for them to join in now. The party start to question how this all works, how wiping out the gods by freeing the predator will make it fresh and new. Once the predator kills the gods, what's next? He's a god? The half-elf says he'll leave to feed on other gods in other worlds, as they don't like to feed on small fish. They ask if he's worked with Thule. He has, but hasn't seen her in a week or so. Imogen looks into his mind. Orm brings up Ira. Imogen sees in his head that he thinks Ira has been a loose thread for too long, and in his head says that this party knows a lot about this stuff. They're quite knowledgeable. Imogen digs deep to see the leader, and she sees an elven man, Ludinus. Imogen sees the keys, a large machine in 3 different places. One in a green twilight, one in darkness and brokenness, and the last one in ruins and sand. The elf says that they aren't children of gods and they are their prey. This time the prey won't be the ones fighting. They are unchaining the hounds that will hunt. Orm asks why the half-elf thinks the predator won't continue to eat after the gods are gone, and he says he believes in his leader's words. Imogen wonders what will happen to those who die once the Raven Queen is gone. The elf says, we'll see, which is very fucked up. Fern says they are following a god. The elf says he's not a god, but a liberator. Orym asks what Zephyr had to do with any of this. Doesn't get an answer, but Insight checks him and Matt whispers to him something. The party asks which key is the best to go after. The one in the Hellcatch has lots of people, and it's the newest one. He knows nothing about the Shadowfell one, and says that the other one is under the Unseelie Court, and doesn't really know about that one either. FGG leans into the friend side of things, and gets his name, Tuldis, after Imogen bullies Tuldis into revealing his leader's name by saying he's probably not high enough in the group himself to know. He gets mad and says Mr. Deleth is the leader, and that's Ludinus' last names for anybody who didn't know. Just confirming that Ludinus is the one he's talking about. Imogen tries to learn where Ludinus is, but Tuldis doesn't really know as he goes around everywhere. The party question what to do with him now, as they've run out of stuff to really ask him and to learn from him. Do they need to kill him? They ask if he has a family. He does have blood family and a chosen family. They then ask Rin if she needs him or wants him, and she says yes, he could be useful. They tell her where they are, and within 2 seconds, she knocks on the door and comes in. She puts Tuldis under a spell and gets him to spill even more beans. The keys are called Melanus keys. She asks which the best key is to target, and they learn that the newest one is here and is heavily guarded, and he doesn't know anything about the Shadowfae one, so he truly doesn't know too much. The party asks if she can take them to different realms. Of course she can, but they need to go after Ashton first. The party can't leave without Ashton, so Rin says that they need to get him before they can do anything, and they should rest up. After they rest, Imogen casts Sending to Ashton, and that's where Matt ends the episode. And there you have it, episode 44 of Critical Role Campaign 3, the first of 2023. I believe I got all the information, or at least the most important stuff. Hopefully, anyway. If I did, somebody down below post in the comments what the hell I fucking missed. But I think I got everything. Everything else that they kind of went over is something we already knew, or at least vaguely knew about. And we learned what the plan is from this group. At first, I questioned if the Ruby Vanguard is what the whole entirety is called. But then I kind of realized that no, this is just Ludinus' group within it. So you have the Unseelie Court, you have the Paragon's Call, and now you have the Ruby Vanguard, as I highly doubt the entire Cerberus Assembly is working with Ludinus in this. For some reason, I just don't get the feeling he is. I think he's using the Assembly to sort of ship things, but I don't think the entire Assembly is with this, as there are some good members of the Assembly. So I think those are the three groups. The Ruby Vanguard, Paragon's Call, and the Unseelie Court. Those are the three groups, and they each have a leader, I'm assuming. So I'm excited to see who the leader of the Unseelie Court is, if my theory is correct. And I can't wait for Ira to step back in and all this shit. And hopefully Ashton's back next week, or Talzin's back next week, because he's sorely missed in this story. I would love to see how Talzin / Ashton would react to all of this stuff, because I think they would have a fun, sort of interesting aspect or way to look at it. So very intrigued by that. And I'm hoping to God they go to the Fey Realm. I think that would be way more entertaining than the Shadowfell, although I think the Shadowfell would be cool, as it's probably the least traversed out of all the realms that are the possibilities. Just please God, don't go to the Hellcatch Valley one. Out of that, all three of them, the Hellcatch Valley is the one I want them to go to the least. I definitely want the Fey Realm the most, because they're going to talk to Mori, and I need to learn more from Mori. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So yeah, that's been this episode, and a little bit of conjecture at the end. So hopefully, hopefully you guys enjoyed this one like I did. It was fun. I thought the combat was really funny. They didn't need to get naked, and I saw lots of people were questioning if they were still naked. I'm going to just assume they're not, as Rin probably would have pointed that out. So I'm assuming they grabbed their clothes and left. Let's just assume that, unless you want to assume that they're naked still. In which case, everyone can go write their own fanfics about them still being naked for the rest of the campaign. I'm sure it's going to happen. And honestly, it was so weird listening to the opening parts of this combat. But anyway, it was fun. Killer way to open up the new year. So yeah, See you guys on Tuesday. Peace.